Okay, good morning, friends. So in this business intelligence master program, this is our 13th session. In this session, we will see get count of files in a folder using Azure Data Factory. We have seen already, if you have provided a input container, how to get the all files which you have in a input container. Okay, so we know how to get the file names dynamically already. So in today's session, we are going to see how to count the number of files which you have in a container. Okay, if I give a input container name, then I am going to understand how many files I have in this particular input container. Okay, so that is what we are trying to understand today. Today we are trying to understand how to get the count of files in a folder. Folder is nothing but a container. Okay, for easy understanding, I just mentioned here folder. It's nothing but a container with respect to the blob storage. With respect to data like storage, it's a folder only. Okay, we will talk about those things later, but today you can focus on we are going to get a count of files in a container. It's nothing but a folder. Okay, so in today's session we will learn scenarios, then we will learn dynamic solution. Okay, what all scenarios it will cover and dynamic solution parameter. As I said, so today we are not going to focus on a single input container. We are going to focus on multiple containers. So let's imagine we have a 10 containers. It's nothing but a 10 folders. I will go to each folder and I will check whether in first folder I have any files or not. If I have any files, I will execute my copy activity to copy these files into the another folder. Okay, once it is done, I will go to the second folder. I will check whether in second folder I have any files or not. If I don't have any files, I will avoid running copy activity. Again, I will go to third folder. I will check whether files we have or not. If we have some files, I will run copy activity. If we don't have any files, I won't run the copy activity. Okay, so for this container name, I'm going to pass it dynamically with the help of dataset parameters. Next, data flow diagram, we are going to see how you are going to implement your pipeline. What all activities you are going to use, what is the relation between these activities to achieve this particular scenario. Okay, that particular data flow diagram we will see. Then estimations, we know how many resources we need, we are going to estimate. Then what are the prerequisites we need if you want to understand today's session. Then required resources. Okay, what all the required resources we need to create from the Azure portal. With respect to demo, we will see how to create storage account. Once we created storage account, we will create multiple containers. Inside multiple containers, we are going to upload some files. Then create Azure Data Factory. Okay, we will create Azure Data Factory. Then once we create Azure Data Factory, we need to connect to the storage. Okay, for that we will create a linked service using integration runtime. We will use multiple data sets as per the depends on number of activities. You need to create a multiple data sets. We will create a pipeline. We will debug this pipeline and we will run pipeline and we can monitor. What is the difference between debug and run? So debug pipeline is nothing but you can create a breakpoints. You can execute partial pipeline, meaning some of the activities in a pipeline you can able to execute by using breakpoint. This you can achieve it by using only debug functionality, not run functionality. Okay, let's see now scenarios. For first scenario, you can see here how to copy data from container which has files. Let's say I have a container, input container. I will go and check if I have some files in input container. I will just copy it. That's all. Second scenario, what it is saying is how to avoid running copy activity for container which does not have any files. Let's say you are verifying one more container where you don't have any files in that container. For these kind of containers, if you simply try to execute your copy activity, you know 100% you are not going to copy anything because you don't have any files in your input container. So in that case, I want to avoid running a copy activity. How you can do that, you will see. So in today a pipeline, we are going to use if activity and lookup activity. We already have seen for each activity, get metadata activity, copy activity. Okay, all these filter activity, all these things we have seen. So today you will come to know how to use if activity and lookup activity as well. But don't think that we are going to use these activities only in this session. We are going to use these activities in multiple sessions. Okay, you have seen filter activity, we have used approximately 4 sessions, but in future also we will use filter activity. Likewise, copy activity we were using from the beginning. So likewise, depends on your scenario, you will use different activities. As I said, you no need to follow exactly what I have done. You can, once you understand the each activity functionality, you can implement your scenarios with the different activities by your own. You can able to implement. Okay, so first you try to understand how I am using each activity, then you can able to develop your own pipeline with the different activities. Okay, you don't need to copy whatever I am just telling. Okay, fine. Now let's say data flow diagram. You see here, as I said, first I'm going to use the lookup activity. This lookup activity, it will, you need to provide one data set. This data set referring to a metadata container. What is metadata? Data about data. What data about data? So I have a containers in my storage. I am going to create a one more file. In that file, I am going to keep all my containers information. What all source containers I have, those containers information I am going to keep. Clear, friends? So I am going to keep what all containers I have, those container names I am going to keep outside. Okay, in another file, I will keep all this information. Remember. So now what happened? In a storage, we have some containers. Those about those containers you are keeping in another file. That file I will upload in a metadata container. It's nothing but a metadata folder I will create in our storage account. In that folder I will keep this metadata, this file. That file I will read it by using lookup activity. Once I read that particular file, that particular file will return these things: Cloud Pandit, training, Azure, Databricks. So these are the 4 container names. These are not a some random words. These are the 4 containers I'm going to create. One container name is Cloud Pandit, another container name is training, another one Azure, another is Databricks. Okay, so likewise I will create 4 containers. Clear, friends? Basically, now anybody who ever understood, can you tell me how many containers I will have in my storage now total? 1 is metadata, 4 is this. Total I will have a 5 containers I will have in my storage. Now where I will upload my metadata, I will upload a file which has these 4 information. In a file I will keep these 4 folder names, and that file I will upload in a metadata folder. I will create a data set to refer this folder. Okay, so that the data set will read the files from this folder. When it read files from this folder, what content we have in that folder? In that folder we have this information. Okay, these containers information. Okay, now I got these 4 container names. What I will do these container names is, now you see, I will pass these 4 informations to the for each activity. Okay, so how you will pass, at the rate activity of lookup dot output dot value, right? So this is lookup output dot value. Dot value means that is the all your items will be there under a value key. This is the key, right? So yesterday and day before yesterday also we have seen. Today when we debug lookup activity, you will come to know what you need to use after output dot value. How many items you got? 4 items. Okay, fine. One by one item I will pass it to the get metadata activity. In get metadata activity, the key is child items. Child item means, now let's say I will pass Cloud Pandit is the container name. I will pass it to the get metadata activity data set. This data set, what it will do, it will go to Cloud Pandit container and it will check how many items we have in it. Okay, so it will just get all the file names. Once I get those file names, I will pass it to the if activity. Okay, I will pass it to the if activity. In if activity, I will put something like this: activity.metadata.output.child items. Okay, so child items I'm getting. The length of child item means, length is nothing but it is going to give you the number of files. Length means it will give you count. Okay, file count, if it is 2, it will give 2. So now what I'm equal child 0, it is going to return true. Okay, it is going to return true. Equals means what? If the length of this child items is 0, meaning when I don't have any files, it is going to return true. But I'm using outs and not, meaning if it is returning true, I will make it as a false. Okay, meaning when I have 0 files, my condition is false. Now in effect, you will have two things, true and a false condition. Now when I received 0, what is the condition? 0 means false. When it is false, I am going to run something called wait activity. If it is, let's say, if I have some files, true activity, if meaning I have some files, in that case it will return a true. In that case I will use a copy activity. If it is returned true, I will use a copy activity. If it is returned false, I will use a wait activity. Wait activity, just it will wait for 10 seconds or 20 seconds based on your configuration, how much time you want to wait your activity to run other flow, or to pick another iteration. Okay, basically you will have a copy activity and wait activity. This is the flow. Now let's say you have 4 items. First I have passed first item, get metadata, meaning Cloud Pandit I have passed. What happens now? This get metadata will go into Cloud Pandit and it will check whether we have any items in it. If we have any items, those items I will just check in if activity. In if activity, I'm going to check. Okay, this is the condition I will check. Activity of metadata that output dot child items is 0. Okay, length of this child items is 0 or not. If it is not 0, then it will return false. So false, outside I'm using not, meaning false I'm converting into true. Not means it's a negation, right? So that particular operator. So it will convert your true to false, false to true. Okay. Now you are like when you have a files greater than 0, meaning you have at least one file, then this entire condition will return a true. In the true condition, I will just execute my copy activity. I will go to true and I will execute copy activity. Once it is done, I will go back and I will get the second item. I got the second item, that is training container. I will go to training container and I will check child items. Those child items I will pass to the if activity. If activity will check again whether these child items, we have any child items or not. Okay, let's say we don't have any child item. Child items is 0. Okay, now what happens? This condition till equals to, it will return a true. But outside I'm using not, meaning if it is true, it will return a false. Okay, when we have 0, basically this entire condition will return false. If it is a false, I will come here and I will just execute wait activity. Wait activity, just wait for some configured seconds. Example, if you ask wait activity to wait 10 seconds, it will keep on running for 10 seconds, then it will release. Once it is released, you can go to the third iteration. Third iteration is I will pick the Azure container. In Azure container, I will go and check whether I have any items. Okay, I have some items. Then those items I will pass it to this if activity. In this if activity, I will check whether I have any files. Yes, I have files. Again, I will execute a copy activity. Okay, so once copy activity is done, again I will come and I will pick the fourth item. All these files I will pass it to our if activity. Once I pass it to the if activity, I will check here whether we have any files. Okay, I don't have any files in Databricks container. Those things I will just meaning if I don't have anything, I will execute false activity. False activity is basically it will wait for some time. Even today we are going to cover the wait activity. Okay, but you no need to think about too much about wait activity. This is only used for waiting some time. Okay, so there are use cases still for wait activity that I will explain you. This is also very important, wait activity. Okay, so in some of the scenarios it will help you like anything. Okay, so we will discuss those things. But everybody is clear, friends, what high level, what all activities we are using. Lookup, this lookup output I will pass it to the for each. Inside for each I will have a get metadata. Get metadata output I will pass it to the if activity. Inside if activity I will have a two condition, true and false. If it is a true, I will add copy activity. If it is a false, I will use wait activity. Is it clear to all of you? Can you confirm quickly? Yeah, Murli, tell me.
Yeah, by mistake we have files in container, and we are passing here in if activity or get metadata 4. So that time what it will do? It will take only 4, or it will, in the case it will fail.
Your question is not clear. So now you have 5 files or 5 containers.
5 containers.
Okay, 5 containers we have. So out of these 5 containers, what you are trying to do?
We are by mistake we are giving only 4 here in activity.
One second. If you want to give intentionally, that you can do it by using a filter. But when you say at the rate activity dot lookup dot output dot value, whatever output you got in lookup, everything will be passed. There is no mistake here, because you're not writing any code to do small filter mistakes or something. Here, when you say this, it will go either all. If something is wrong, none of these things will. But there is no case where you will see half containers will be passed to the for each activity.
Okay.
Sir, once again tell me, sir, if activity conditions.
Okay, I will explain. Please be in mute first. Okay. So if activity you are not clear, okay, I will explain. Now you see, first time, let's focus on Cloud Pandit container itself. In Cloud Pandit container, I need to check whether I have files in it or not. How you will check? You are going to use a child item. We already used it. Okay. We are going to use a key that is nothing but a field list. You need to reference your get metadata activity data set to Cloud Pandit container. This data set will refer to the Cloud Pandit container. It's nothing but a folder. And the field list is child item, meaning we already have seen child item means inside that folder, if we have any files, it will give you those files, otherwise it will avoid those files. Okay, if you have any files, it will give those files, otherwise it will give 0. It is not going to give any files. Now let's imagine Cloud Pandit folder is having some files. All that file list you will get in terms of array, right? Area of items you'll get. Now all those items you will pass it to the if activity. Here I am going to check when I just take the length of that array, if we have 2 files, it will return length is 2. If we have 1 file length, it will return 1. If we have a 5 files length, it is return 5. Now you see the activity of metadata dot output dot child items. Okay, child items length. I am asking length of this array. Child items means it will give array of items. Now length of that array I am asking. So now length it may return based on number of files we have. Let's imagine we have a 2 files. Now length is going to be what? 2. Here 2. Here we have another parameter called 0. 2 comma 0. What you are doing? 2 comma 0. You are checking equals. Whether equals of 2 comma 0. Whether 2 and 0 is equal or not. Equal or not? It's not equal. So it will return a false. But after once you got the false, this false condition you are changing to true. How you are changing? Because you are saying not means if you are getting inside true, you return a false. Inside if you are getting a false, you return true. Okay, reverse. Whatever you are getting result here, that result will be reverse, not means. Okay, based on that, here we understood we have some files, we will get a overall condition is true. If it is true, I will go to true condition. Here I will add the copy activity. What copy activity is going to do? Copy activity may pick the files from Cloud Pandit container, and it will load into your some output container. Okay, doesn't matter, but it will just bring all the files into your output container. Okay, clear?
Clear, sir.
Okay. Any other questions, friends? Can you confirm our chat window? Can't we use? Why can't we use directly true or false? So true or false, we are using directly only. So you need some condition, right? So to check this condition, you have some requirement where you need to verify whether you have files or not. To get that array of files, you are using get metadata. This get metadata will pass some value. Let's say you want to check whether you whatever password you entered that is correct or not. If they want to check, what they need to do, they need to take the input from you, they need to get the same password from the database, then they need to compare it. In the same way, when you have a condition 0, you already have a password that is 0, you need to check what is the user entering password. Whether user entered password also 0, then it is a true. Okay, so to get the user entered password, how they are going to read that user entered password, and they will check in the same way. We are going to take the count of these files and we are checking as per our requirement. I'm just giving some example. You don't think like that 0. Here, just to compare that password, here I'm just giving 0 is constant. Those and all you should not compare. Here I'm just giving some example. You have a password here, you are going to password again from here, then you will check it here whether both are equal or not. If it is equal, you execute this. If it is not equal, you execute this. Okay. Any other questions, friends? Fine, if no questions, let me move on. Dynamic solution, we know one thing, we already have seen this slide since last three sessions. So we know that we should not, hard coding data set is not a bad thing, first point. Okay, because why it is not bad thing? Because when you have a one file, one folder, you need to read and load it into the data, then you don't need to do dynamic. When you have only one table to copy or one file to copy, you can hard code it. If you have more tables or more files, then instead of using same code again and again with hard coding, you can create a something called dynamic nature. Okay, you can implement a dynamic things, because if you are going to use similar hard coded resources again and again, what happens, it will be tedious and time consuming. It will take more time, and it will drastically increase the errors. Okay, so it will be difficult for us to manage all these things. That's why what we need to do is, your solution should be dynamic enough that you save time on development and maintenance, but not so dynamic that it becomes difficult to understand. So many people will do this. Okay, they will create a so dynamic that nobody can able to understand, because you need to think, if something goes wrong in production or something, you should be able to debug those things. So for that, you need to make it dynamic things, but it's not too dynamic. If it is too dynamic, it is difficult to debug in production if you receive any errors. So we already discussed about all these things. So let me go a little bit fast here. Parameters, we have a pipeline parameter, dataset parameter. We have used pipeline parameter, dataset parameter, but linked service and data flow parameter we are going to use in the upcoming sessions. Next, by parameterizing resources, you can reuse them with a different values each time. We already have seen, by passing different file names, by passing different container names to the dataset parameter, we are able to process the data. For example, instead of hard coding the container name in each data set, we can parameterize the container name value. Then we can pass the container name in a parameter each time we use the data set. Okay, we are going to do same thing here, whatever we have done previously. Okay, data set parameter. So how we will create? Click on this data set, you will have a parameter, click on new to create. So once you click on new, you will create a parameter. Then this parameter, I am coming from parameters to connections. Here I am using, wherever I have a container, here I am using that container name. How you will use? Just click dynamic content. Here whatever parameter you have opened, that will be available. So you just click on that to get a dynamic content. You will see a dynamic content will add here. Once you add that dynamic content, see dynamic content came here. Now you move from data set to pipeline. In pipeline, you will use a copy activity. Wherever you are using this data set, there this parameter will be available to receive the container name. So here I am going to pass an input container name, but we have seen, instead of passing directly here, meaning instead of hard coding here, how to pass the parameter, like this container name to pipeline parameter, from pipeline parameter, how you can pass it to here. So those things we discussed. Okay, click next. So Azure Blob Storage, you know, you'll have an account in that, you'll have containers in that, you will upload the files. CSV file overview, see, it's nothing but a comma separated values. You know, we discussed about this, and this separator can be a comma, pipe, or tab. See, data will be something like this. Next, JSON file format, you know, it's a JavaScript object notation. We'll have a key and value pair, okay. Fine. Estimations, we know we need to create a one linked service for each storage or any data RDBMS systems or whatever. For each resource, one linked service we need. As we are going to use a single storage, we can have a one linked service is enough. How many data sets? We have seen multiple activities I'm going to use, so I need to create a multiple data sets as per the reference points. If I want to refer metadata folder, I need to create a separate data set. If I want to refer another folder, I need to create a separate data set. How many activities? One copy activity is required to copy data from blob storage, but if you have other conditions, then you are going to use the other activities. One pipeline I will use. What type of IR we are going to use? Today also we are going to use the Azure integration runtime because we are moving data from cloud to cloud. Prerequisites, we know we should know storage account and Azure data factory integration runtime and types. Okay, linked service, data set, activities, and pipeline. These are the prerequisite things that we need to know. We already discussed each and everything in detail. Next, required resources, we need storage account and a data factory V2. Okay, so that's all slides I have. Let's go and do the demo. But before that, anybody have any questions? Please let me know. Otherwise, I will go and let's start with the demo. Okay, looks like nobody is having question. Let's click here, click refresh. I will open portal in two different tabs because you know why I will open portal in two different tabs, right? So I want to create a storage account. First, click on storage account. Click add storage account. Create, right? Resource group, I want to create a new one because I don't have anything. Create. So you can say cloud one day BA master program. Just click create. Okay, now you give the name, click OK. So this is how you are going to create the resource group. You can create, like you go to resource group and create the resource group, or you can create directly here, you know. So storage account name, I will say cloud funded first. Okay. In East US, we know standard means HDD, premium means SSD, storage V2 we discussed. What all things you will get, data lake storage Gen 2 extra you will get here. Here you will get all the things, okay, except data lake storage Gen 2. Here you will get only blob storage, you will not get file store, queues, tables, all those things. Okay, you can go with anything, whatever you want. Okay, let's go with the blob storage. Click review plus create. But whatever you select, ultimately you will get the blob storage that we required. Okay. So running final validation, all the details it will verify. If everything is fine, this particular option will be enabled. Okay, you can click create once. Okay, validation passed. Click create to create the storage. Come to second tab. Here I want to create a data factory. Okay, just click here, search for data factories. This is the easiest way to find a resource. Okay, click on data factories. Click add to create the data factories. Create, right? This is the resource group, and in which region? East US. And the name of my resources, you can say cloud funded VDF V2. Okay, so which version we are using currently? We are using version 2. Okay, this data factory name is not available. You can say cloud pandit ADF. That's all. Let's see whether it is available. Oh, somebody has taken our names. Okay, we'll do one thing. Cloud pandit ADF V2. Before that, I will say no, Cloud Pandit. M is nothing but a master program. Okay, I will just use M. See now, MP will use Cloud Pandit MP master program EDF V2. Okay, so this is how you can make sure this data factory name is unique, because it's a global unique. If somebody has taken this name, you cannot use same name. Okay, now click configuration. So we know we are going to configure this Git later. It's nothing but your pipeline code will be moved to your repository directly. Okay, click review plus create. Click create to create the data factory. The data factory will create. Now come back to your storage. Meanwhile, go to resource, click on containers. Okay, so here I am going to create a total 5 containers as we discussed. Okay, one is our metadata container. Okay, you will have a metadata. Okay, click create. Another container is a cloud funded. Create it. Now click on container. Then I want to, let's say, cloud pandit. Then you have a next container is training. Create it. Next container is azure. Create it. Next container is databricks. Create it. Okay, so total you see I have a 5 containers, out of which only these 4 are the normal data containers. This metadata is basically to store data about data. What data about data? These containers information I will keep it in a file. That file I will keep it in my metadata container. Okay, fine. So first thing that we will do, come here. Let's say you have a, you can say here container names, container names. Container names, I will say this is my, in this metadata you can do a lot of things. So one is you can say source container name. This is your target container name. Okay, this is your source container name. This is target container. So if I have any files in my Cloud Pandit container, that particular Cloud Pandit container files, I will move it into a Cloud Pandit output container. So this particular container I am not going to create, my ADF will create in a same storage. Next, Azure container. If I have any files in Azure container, it is going to load it into a Azure output container. If I have any containers in my trainings container, trainings, okay, training container, then I will have all the files into training output container. Next, from here, Databricks container, then Databricks files will be moved to the Databricks output. Okay, you see here we have a Azure, we have training container. You see you have a training container. You have a Cloud Pandit. You see I have a Cloud Pandit. Then you see your data. What is this? Databricks is completed. Azure training Cloud Pandit. So total I have 4 source containers. For these 4 source containers, I am going to create a 4 output containers, but I am not going to create these 4 output containers. These folders will be created by my Azure Data Factory automatically in same storage. Okay, these are my headers. These 2 are my headers. Okay, this is the file. This file I can save it as a CSV because comma separated, right? Just in the, can you create here count file count class. Okay, the file count class In this, whatever files we have, we will keep it here. Okay, container in containers info.csv. Save it. Okay, I saved. Now this particular file I have, this file I will upload into my metadata. Okay, just click on metadata. Okay, I'm just explaining in detail. Please let me know if you have any confusion. Just click on this. Now go to desktop. I have Cloud Pandit dataset. Here I have a file count. Here you see containers info. This is the CSV file I am uploading. I uploaded. Now click on this. Click edit. See, these are the like I have. This is the information I have, right? Source container name, target container name. These two I need to move data from training to training output, Azure to Azure output, Cloud Pandit to Cloud Pandit output, Databricks to Databricks output. Okay, clear. Now go back. Let's do only in two things. Okay, I want to focus on Cloud Pandit container. In this Cloud Pandit container, I will upload some CSV files. Let's upload some CSV files. First and EMP, let me upload here. Fine. Now come back. Let's go to training, Cloud Pandit training. Okay, in this training folder also I'm uploading some file. These files are basically CSV or whatever you want, you can do it, but let's go with CSV only. In CSV pipe, okay, clear friends. So training folder I have some CSV files. Okay, you can have other type of file also here. Okay, in same pipeline will work for other type of files as well. So in training folder I have some CSV files, and Cloud Pandit container is having some files. Metadata is having some like metadata file, and other two containers does not have any data, Azure and Databricks. These two containers does not have any data, remember. Okay, now what I wanted to do, now all the things with respect to my storage is ready. Now only thing is I need to implement my data factory pipeline. Come to data factory, click on go to resource, click on author and monitor to open data factory. So now do one thing. Okay, let's come to manage tab. We know very important thing is linked service should be ready. Okay, for that click new, blob storage, continue. This is basically you can say ls abs. Okay, linked service for Azure blob storage. Okay, when you have a multiple storages, you can say specific storage name you can give, but right now I have one storage, so I'm giving ls underscore Azure blob storage. And this is I will use a account key, and this is the Azure integration runtime. We know subscription, we know free trade, storage account name. This is the storage I want to connect. Let's take the connection, create. Okay, fine. Come to author tab. Let's click pipeline because I cannot go with the data sets. I don't know how many data sets I need to create. So let's click on pipeline to create a pipeline first. PL data. I'm just renaming my PL data movement. File count. Okay. So file count. This is the file count. Maybe you can say file count in a folder. Okay. So this is my pipeline. Now, first thing that we want is we need a lookup activity, if you remember. Okay, let me just take you through that particular slide. See friends here. So I have a lookup activity. Okay, I need to use the lookup activity as for our data flow diagram. Now come here. I want to use a lookup activity. So I am in pipeline. I want to use lookup activity. That lookup activity will be there in general. But you can also search here to find out that lookup. Okay, drag it. Okay. So here lookup name you can say. Okay. Lookup get container list. So this lookup is going to get the container list. The lookup to get container list. How it will get? Come to settings. Let's create a data set. So click blob storage. Click continue. So in which format your metadata is there in CSV? Click continue. This is basically you can say here DS. Okay, ABS is a blob storage for lookup, or you can say get containers. Now use the linked service which you have created. Now you need to select that particular container. Which container? Metadata container. I have a metadata file. Click OK. Now select first as header. Okay, let me show you. If you're not selecting first as header, what happens? Okay, so currently I'm not checking first as header. Click OK. So you know import scheme equal to, it will just identify the data type of each column. Now you see, I want to preview the data. What is this data set is reading? See, first thing you see, you are getting only one record. What is the reason behind that is we have an option here, first row only. You are reading only first row. Uncheck this to read all the data. Now you just click preview data. See, you are getting all the things. But what is your header name? Your header name is prop_0, prop_1. Okay, property 0, property 1. But here you see your headers came into your data. To avoid this, to set headers properly, what we need to do is come down, or not here, open your data set. Okay, come down here, you will have a first row as header. Now you select this, go back to your pipeline. Now you preview the data and see that property 0, 1 will go, and you will have a headers properly will set. Okay, this is the first thing you can see here. This is your first thing. Lookup activity, you need to create a data set to reference to metadata container. We have created that, and it is going to give you all these 4 containers list. Is it giving those 4 containers list or not? It is giving those 4 containers list. Along with that, it is giving where you want to load this each file, where you want to load each container's files. Whatever files I have in Cloud Pandit container, those all files I want to load it here. Whatever files I have in this container, I want to load it here. Okay, cancel this. Okay, I hope everybody is clear as of now, right? One second. We cancel this and max. Okay. Fine friends, now you see lookup activity we have done. Okay, now what you need to do, lookup activity output, where you need to send, you see here lookup activity output, I need to send it to the for each. How you will send it? At the right activity of lookup dot output dot value items you will receive 4. Okay, we'll see how you will pass is here, search for your for each. If you know This lookup will be there in a general. If you know, you go and drag it, otherwise you can search it. Searching is easy. Search it here for each. So drag for each. Okay. Now you need to pass the output of lookup to the for each. How you will pass it, you know. This is basically for each container. For each container, I need to iterate. That's why for each container. Now come to settings. So do you want to check one by one container, or you want to check all containers at once? So whether you want to execute parallelly or sequential. Sequential means batch, parallel means batch one. Let's go with sequential today. Click on items, click add dynamic content. So here we need to pass the input for your for each. What is the input for each? Lookup output. For that, click on this, click add dynamic content. Come down, you will see lookup activity. Okay, just click on this. See, you are getting up to output. Here you want to get what I need to give, whether I need to give value or what I need to give exactly. For that, do one thing. Just create a breakpoint here. Debug this. Okay, now you see, just to click on this output side, you see under value, you are able to see this is the source, this is our destination, this is source, this is your destination. Okay, otherwise let me keep this lookup output here. Here I will keep it. Okay, so you see value. This what I need to do is at the rate activity of lookup dot output dot value. When I say value, you will see this is one item, this is another item, this is another item, this is another item. One by one item we can pass it to the for each. Like we are going to pass all the items to the for each, but for each will give first this item to the inside activities, next this item to the inside activities, next this item to the inside activities, next this one to the inside activities. Okay, now how to go inside? Now just uncheck this, or like delete your breakpoint. Now you do one thing, just select here, see here at the rate activity of lookup dot output dot value. Output dot value means all items I have passed it. Now you see same lookup output dot value, it is going to pass all the items for. Now inside for each I need to use a get metadata. Inside for each, how you will go inside? You can click here, double click on this, or come to here, click on this. Okay, there are multiple ways to go inside for each. Now here we need to use a get metadata activity. We know this is the get metadata activity. In this get metadata activity, what I wanted to do, so first thing you need to be very clear on this is, now all these items received by for each is going to give you first time this one. Okay, first time for each will give this item only this item. Please remember, only this item it will give first. Okay, next it will give this, next it will give this. Now my get metadata activity, when for each has given this to my get metadata activity, when for each has given this item to get metadata activity will should go inside this container. It should go inside this container, and it has to verify whether we have any files in this container or not. How you will do that? So come here, just change the name. This is basically get child items. I want to get the child item. Okay, come to dataset. We need to create a dataset. So this dataset is basically, see now, click new. I'm going to create a new dataset. Blob storage, continue. So doesn't matter what type of file, because anyhow we are going to copy all the files. You can select anything, CSV, continue. Here you can say this is dataset, right? DS ABS for getting the child items. Okay, this is the name of my data set. This is the linker service I'm creating. Now my question is, which container we need to pass it here? Which container I want to pass it here? We should pass the container names dynamically, because first time I need to pass this container, next time I need to pass this container, next time this, next time this. For this, what is the solution we have? Anybody can tell me, friends, what is the solution we have? We need to pass one by one value here. What we need to do for this data set?
Create parameter.
Very good. We
Create
use
containers.
this data set parameter. Select this first data. Please be in reference. First data. Click OK. So container name I have not given. Now I will reopen this. See, I will reopen this data set. How you will do? Click open. So how to create your parameters? We know. Click parameter. This is the step 1. We need to define the parameter name. This is a container name. You can say a source container name. Just say source container. It's a parameter source container. This parameter where you need to use at this place. Click on add dynamic content, click source container. That's all. You have created a parameter you are using in the correct place, but who is going to assign value to this parameter is come to your pipeline. In this, you see your parameter is waiting to receive a value. Now, who is going to provide this Cloud Pandit and Cloud Pandit output? These items, who is going to provide, friends, to the get metadata? You see, to get metadata, who is going to provide the items? For each is going to provide the items to get metadata. So in these items, at the rate item, when I say item, first time this entire thing is going to be item. So in this entire thing, do you need everything or you want only Cloud Pandit? If you want only Cloud Pandit, take this name. This is the key, right? Item. In this item, I want only source container name. This is what I need to give. Okay. Next time, when my data, when my for each is given this particular item, if I say at the rate item dot source container name, what is the value I will get? What is the value I will get when I say at the rate item dot source container name? My for each is passing this item. In this item, if I use this dynamic content, what value I will get? Output. Respond. What value I will get?
Container name.
What is the container name? It's clear. You are able to see. Tell me what is that container?
Cloud Pandit training Azure database.
One second. In this, when I in this item, there is the item means everything will come. In this, I am asking source container name is Cloud Pandit. In this item, okay, item dot source container name means I will get a training. In this item dot source container name means I will get a Azure. In this item, when I ask source container name means Databricks. Isn't it, friends? So that's why I need to pass one by one container to this parameter. For that, which parameter? This parameter. So for that, in this data set, when I in this data set, get metadata activity data set, I need to use this dynamic content. Now come down, field list. What you want? I want from that container all the child items. I want all the child items from that particular container. Okay, this child items, we know this is going to give the child items. So if you want to run as of now, you can just click a debug to verify each and everything in detail. Okay, just click debug, everything will execute as of now, whatever you have done. Let's see. So lookup is going to give you all the 4 things. Okay, 4 containers information. It is in progress. It will complete in. A lookup is completed. Lookup will pass all the 4 containers information to the for each. You ask for each, it received item count. It received is 4. You check 4. Now you see child item 1. Okay, this is basically got Cloud Pandit. In this Cloud Pandit, we have any files or not? We have files. You see, this is the files. Okay, so this is the child item. So this is basically area of items. When you ask output, okay, see output dot child items, activity of get metadata dot output dot child items. So it will give you all this file list. We have 2, so it is going to return a, if you ask length of this output.child items, it will give 2. You see here, which one? Databricks. In this we don't have any files. You see now what happens here, output. See, child items is empty, you don't have anything, empty. Okay, likewise you are going to get everything. Now go inside get metadata. What I need to do now, get metadata, I have opened the child item key. This get metadata output I need to pass it to the for if activity. So I will use if activity. Yeah, search for if activity. See if condition is there. Bring this if condition here. Okay, pass, just make a relation. Now if condition, you can check here. Okay, if file count is not 0, if file count is not 0. Okay, if you want readability, if you want increase, you can say if file count is not 0. If file count is not 0. Okay, I'm going to check if the file count is 0 or not. I'm going to check. Okay, or you can say file count is 0. I'm going to check is 0. How you will do that is you need to write a condition. That condition is come to activities. Here you need to write your expression. I will do that. Click add dynamic content. Click on this get metadata output. Okay, click on this. So output dot child items. The child items, you know. So this is going to give you that items. Okay. Now those items length I need to understand. See length. Length is the function which we have on this. You see length. How it will do? You can see here. You just keep your cursor here. It will give you examples. See here. When I say length in a string a comma b comma c, it is going to give me 3. Okay. In the same way, when you ask length of this particular array, it is going to give you some number. Okay, it is going to see returns the number of elements in an array or string. It is going to give a value in terms of basically in string. Remember length. Okay, so this is the till length means it is going to give you whether the number is like whether it is a 0 or 1 or 2, it will give. So I'm going to say here it will convert into, I need to convert into string. So I will convert into string. See in this, if you remove this length, you will have a conversion functions. Okay, see here you have a conversion function. So if you want to convert into string, you will see here what you need to use. If you want to convert into string you need to use. So I will use here string because the result is going to be a string. That's why I need, so result, this is basically string. You don't need to convert again. Okay, sorry. So this is anyhow string. This one I need to check equals. Okay, see now this length may return true. Sorry, it will return 2. When it will return 2, if the file count is having 2, then it will return 2. If the file is not having anything, then it will return 0. If we have files 5, then it will return 5. That 5, okay, let's say 0. Now I'm going to check equals. See length of this get metadata output dot child items. This child items length. If we have a 2 files, the length is going to be 2. If I don't have any child items, what is going to be my length? 0. Now, when I don't have any files, remember this is the condition. When I don't have any items in a container, my this value length of this particular condition is going to be 0. 0 is equal to 0, true. True meaning when I have 0 files, it is returning true. Now what I want to do, when I have a 0, I want to get a false. That's why I'm using not. You see not functionality. Search here, not returns true if the parameter is false, meaning it is a reverse. Okay, the parameter is not true, it will return false. If it is false, it will return true, reverse way. That's why I'm using not. Okay, clear, or you want me to explain once again? This condition is important. See, very simple. Activity of get metadata output dot child items. Let's imagine in that particular container I don't have any files. So child items is going to be 0. When you ask length of activity of child items dot output dot child items, this is going to give you 0. This whatever value you received, that 0 and this 0 is equals or not. For that I'm using equals. Okay. Next, not means true or false. See, first you need to understand this. Length is basically you are asking on the get metadata output. Okay, get metadata output. Okay, this length may return 0 or something. Now equals equals will check two conditions. 1, 1 if I give, it will return true. If I give 1, 2, it will return false. 1, 2 means it will return false means. Okay, now when it return false, I want to make it as a true. For that I'm going to use not of equals, meaning actually it is returning false, but outside I'm getting true, because equals 1, 2 means this is returning false, but when I get a overall result I'm making it as a true. Not means if it is a false it will give true, if it is a true it will return false. Instead of 1, see here I will put 0. 1, 0 is true, no, false, but finally I will get a true. Now 0, 0, true or false, true, but when I get final result I will get a false here. Okay, now instead of 0 I am just getting the value from the metadata here. This metadata output dot child items is length is 0, meaning whether if I don't have any files in that container I will get a length is 0. That 0, this 0 is equals, s equals, then I will get a true. When I have these files, inside condition is true, but I am getting a false, because when I have 0 files I'm getting a overall condition is false. You see, that's what I have written here. Okay, let's click finish. Please let me know if somebody is not clear. Okay, I have a true and a false, two conditions now. Now when it will become true, if I have some files, when it will become false, when you don't have any files. Let's go inside false. Okay, I want to add a wait activity. Wait activity. Wait, just bring a wait activity. This is just a wait. Okay, waiting. Okay, it is waiting. So how many seconds you want wait activity to wait? Let's make wait activity to wait up to 30 seconds. Okay, that's all. Now come out, like go inside for each. So see, in false one activity added, one activities, no activities in true. Let's go inside true. If we have some files, then I need to bring the copy activity. Copy data. Okay, this is basically copy. You can say blob to blob, something you can use here. Blob to blob you can tell. Now source side, I need to create a my data set. Click source. This is the blob storage, continue, CSV file, continue. This is basically our source data set. Source data set. Okay, use the linked service. Sorry, link, we know, right? Naming is DS, and then Azure blob storage. You need to say it's a source data set. Let's imagine, just put source data set because it's not a single container. So this is the linked service I'm using, but container names I need to pass it dynamically because I'm going to copy data dynamically from multiple containers. That's why container name I want to pass dynamically. I will create a dynamic parameter for that. Click first where center, click OK. See, source side I'm going to pass the multiple containers one by one. From those containers I will pick the data, I will load it into my output containers. Click sync blob storage, click continue as a CSV, continue. This is basically DS Azure blob storage sync data set. Use this linker service. This output container name also I want to pass dynamically. For that, click OK. So I'm not passing anything. Now you see source data set side, sync data set side. I need to pass source container name, destination container name dynamically. So in which case you will come to copy activity? Can you tell me in which case you will come to copy activity true condition? Only if we have some files. Now out of all these things, how many containers we have files, Cloud Pandit and the training. Now if you go to your notepad, you see, meaning only these two items will be available to your copy activity. These two will not be available to your copy activity until if condition will verify in these two conditions. It will think that okay, there is no files in this, it will execute wait activity in these two items case. But in these two items case, it will execute your copy activity to copy data from Cloud Pandit to Cloud Pandit output, training to training output. Now you need to pass Cloud Pandit training these two container names dynamically to your source data set. These two container names you need to pass it to the sync data set dynamically. For that, do one thing, come here. Let's open it, parameters, click open, click parameter. This is a source file name, okay? Source container, let's say source container. This is basically source container. This source container where I need to use here, okay? Just add dynamic content, use this source container. That's all, you have used it. Now go back to your pipeline. Source side, see, I have created a source container parameter. That's why it is visible here. Now come to sync. Let's create a same parameter. Click open, create a parameter. You know, create parameter, okay? Here I need to create a parameter. This is a sync container. Come to connections, come here, click add dynamic content, sync container, finish it. Okay, so now come to pipeline. Here you see sync side also parameter is available, source side also parameter available. Now what we need to do is we need to pass the container name dynamically, but who is going to pass? See, your copy activity inside for each only. So for each will pass the item. In that item, if you want, let's say in that item, if you want source container name, you have to say @item dot source container. Just to take this, if you want source container Cloud Pandit training, then this is the dynamic query you need to pass it here. Okay, put it here. Now I want sync. Sync means what you need to do, come here, you see here. Sync means what, friends? Source container name you remove and you need to give this. See, this or this, every key is same. That's why this target. Copy this, put it here. Okay, that's all. After that, in that container, in those containers, okay, let me go inside through. In those, see, copy activity is going to check one by one container. Let's say first it is going to verify Cloud Pandit container. Likewise, it is going to verify all the container. Let's imagine it is going to verify all the containers. One second. Check copy activity, select this. See, in this copy activity, source side you are passing a container, sync side you are passing container, but source side when you are passing a container, in that container you have multiple files. In that case, you need to put your filter condition. Do you want to select a subset of files like star.csv, meaning doesn't matter what type of file I have, I want to take a subset of files such as .csv files. I want JSON files. Okay, otherwise what you can do is you just simply put star. Doesn't matter what type of file you have in that container, whatever container you are passing, all those files will be copied into your destination container. Okay, now you have a source and destination. So I'm going to say so all the files which I have in my source container, meaning all the files which I have in Cloud Pandit and training of containers, I'm picking and loading into the respective folders. Cloud Pandit files I'm loading into Cloud Pandit output, training files I'm loading into training output container. Okay, clear? So our pipeline is ready now. You can see exactly same flow we have implemented here. Okay, wait activity I have used, wait activity I configured with 30 seconds. Now one by one activity will, one by one item will pass by for each. So you will pass it if condition, if you will check, then you will do one by one. Okay, let's verify whether copy activity is working or not. But before that, anybody have any questions? In false, we are using wait. What next in false? What next in false? What next in false means what? What is your question? I'm not clear.
Sir, you are saying that in if it is false, it is waiting for 5 seconds or 10 seconds. What next? Like after 5 seconds,
Not
it
wait.
is.
So I need to do something. Maybe I need to send a notification saying that these containers doesn't have files. You may send a notification, but that particular session is not covered. For that, I'm just using a wait activity instead of simply leaving that false. You can just leave like that without using any
Clear, sir.
activity as well.
Clear,
But just
sir.
to show
Clear.
you, I am using it.
Yes, sir. Clear, sir. Clear.
No problem. Okay, now I'm going to run pipeline. So we removed all the breakpoints, I hope. Okay, so let's do one thing. Let's click publish on. Okay, I will run the pipeline. Okay, because when we run, we can able to analyze one by one in detail. So here little bit difficult for me to do it here. So that's why let's go with running. Yeah. So we can create the triggers and all those things. We'll discuss those. But if you want to run a pipeline, click add trigger, trigger now. Okay, click OK. So where you can monitor your pipeline, come to monitor tab. See your pipeline. This is pipeline. If you go inside pipeline, you'll be able to see your activities. So what is your first activity? Your first activity is for each. You can see for each has 4 count. Okay, count is 4. These are the 4 items we have. Now for each has received how many? 4 items. Now first get metadata is executing, then if activity, then copy activity. See, get metadata basically it verified in Cloud Pandit. In Cloud Pandit, it if condition checked whether we have any files. Yes, we have some files. Then it is running your copy activity. It is running your copy activity. See, now again you refresh this. So first copy activity is finished. Now this time we are checking Azure folder. We don't have anything. See, if condition will not run your copy activity. Just refresh this. See, this is what. Let's check it here. Databricks. Why Databricks? It went to copy activity. Somehow our condition is wrong, I guess. Let's see now. Come to your storage, refresh it. It is created Cloud Pandit, the Databricks training output. It created total 3 training output, Databricks output, and Cloud Pandit output. So we don't have any files in Databricks. How come it picked? It should not pick, right? See here, you see Azure output also picked. Okay, so then we have some issue with our condition. Let's check that. Okay, so because if you go inside, anyhow we will not have any files, but even it should not create this particular folders as well. Okay, but you see Cloud Pandit output, you will have a files. Okay, and the Databricks output, you see you will have some file. You don't have anything because in this also we have not put, but in training output we have put some files. Those files will come here. Okay, 3 files came. Now my thing is why it is not working, why it is creating all these 4 folders. It should create only 2 containers, 2 output containers, and it should not run your copy activity should not run for the Azure container and Databricks container. Okay, we will see. I just resetted my storage to the previous. I deleted all the newly created containers. Let's verify for that. For that, now just click here. This condition is not showing. Now you see overall condition, it is not showing, but ultimately you see your copy activity is running. For that, you come here. Let's verify what is the mistake. Get metadata, check it here. So you see here two items we have. Here also you check here, we have a two items. Check here, 0 items. This is okay, everything is okay. Now we'll go and check only if condition. Okay. You can change this condition in different ways. One is, what you can do is, I may change this condition now, because if we are using condition something like this, it is not working, it seems. What I can do now is, it should run basically, it should work, but I'm just thinking why it is not working. Length of active. So this condition is, in all the conditions, so this is false and this, okay. Equals length of activity. Let me remove this. So in this case, what happens? You will have only this length. One second, let me just try to understand this. Length. Length is going to return the number of elements in an array or string. So it is going to give the string. Let's imagine this is going to give the string. For that, I just included my 0 value here. Okay. So when I ask empty array, it is going to give me, let's do one thing. I will say here, okay, 1 equals this. One second. So see friends, I'm going to use a greater. Okay, greater I will use. Okay, one second. I will just I'm changing the entire condition now. So I will use greater. This greater, what it is going to check is whatever value we are getting from this get metadata child items. This child items output dot child items. Okay, this length I'm taking. This length is basically, will be there. Length basically will be there in a string. So now I need to convert into integer. For that, you need to use an int of this. Then you need to give whether it's greater than what, 0. Okay. So this is basically, let me explain you one second, don't worry. So I will explain each part in detail. Now you see, this is, can you tell me what is this? This is basically, I'm going to get the child items. So when you get child items, it is going to give you the number of files which you have in a folder. If it is giving 2, when you ask length, it is going to give you 2. If we have 0, it is going to give you 0. If we have 1, it is going to give 1. Now when you say, when you remove this, so let's imagine this entire thing is giving 0, meaning it's basically a you don't have any files. Now this 0 is greater than 0, false. So this condition is false. In this case, it will go to the, this condition is false. So when 0 is equal to 0, when this condition is false, means what happens is it will go and execute wait activity. When you say greater, so I have some files in my folder. Child item will return. I have 2 files in my Cloud Pandit container. My length of activity of get metadata output the child item will return true 2. I'm converting this 2 into int because by default whatever value I'm receiving, that is a string. String I need to convert into int. Now I can say 2 is greater than 0. 2 is greater than 0. So this is basically one thing you need to understand. How this greater function will work, you can understand here. Greater than, see, I'll just show you. You just put cursor here. See here, when you say greater 10 comma 10, so what it is saying is first argument is greater than the second argument. It is going to check whether first argument is greater than the second argument. Now you see your first argument is greater than 0 or not. Can somebody tell me your first argument is greater than 0 or not? Yes,
Greater.
your first argument is 2. Yes, true. In this case, when I have 2 files, this condition is coming true. So I will execute only true activities, copy activities. So this will work, this condition will work. Let's go and check with this. Okay, let's click debug. If it is working, then I will publish it. Okay, let's see now. Let's go here. Sometimes it will not refresh, but here you can see. See, Cloud Pandit output folder came, meaning copy activity already executed. So other things also it will execute. Okay, don't worry. Now we'll see one copy activity succeeded. Training, it is running copy activity, but for next two items, it should not run the copy activity. We'll see whether it is going to run copy activity or not. Can you see now? It went to the waiting activity. You observe this. So it went to the waiting activity because when you passed source container is Azure, when you passed source container is Azure, in that we don't have any files. That's why it went to the waiting. 30 seconds is over. See, 31 seconds. Okay. Now get metadata. Again it picked the next container. In this container, you can verify it's a Databricks. In this container also we don't have any files. Now this also will go to the wait activity. See, wait activity. Clear, friends, how each and everything is executed. Now you come here and see, you will see only two folders, two containers. See, Cloud Pandit and training output. If you go inside this output containers, you will have a files. Next thing, you need to be very clear. Now you understood, right? I have changed my condition on the fly. So when something is not working, you should be able to understand what are the other ways. Okay, what are the other things that you can now use. So previous one also should work, but I don't want to analyze those things in this class. That's why I just used the alternative solution. But we can use that query as well. I need to just check why it was not working. Okay, we'll check that and let you know tomorrow. But everybody's clear, friends, whatever we discussed as of now.
Malay, in lookup activity, metadata is compulsory, right?
Method, so that is our requirement, right? So we need to have all the container names. We need to pass container names one by one. For that, we have created a metadata file. That metadata file we are reading through the lookup activity.
In real time, how it will be? Suppose we have 100 containers like that, how it will be in real time? The time.
Same thing, metadata. So you will come
we
to
need to create.
when you have 100 tables or 100 containers. In all this case, we'll go with the metadata. But metadata will not have only these two information. It will have status. So multiple things we will have. All those things we will discuss. Okay. So just explain condition one more time. See, condition is very simple. Now let me bring that condition. So they're asking me to explain condition once again. Let me explain this condition. First, you try to understand how this greater functionality will work. Okay, this greater function will take something like this. If greater 2 comma 0 means it will return true. Okay, at the rate greater, I will say 0, 0. What it will return? What it will return? It will return false because 0, 0 is not a greater. Next, at the rate greater. What it will return, friends? It will return false because your first argument should be greater than the second argument. But here you see 3 is greater than 2. That's why it's false. Greater 10, 3. So what it will return? Can you tell me now? Now can you tell me what it will return? It will return true. It will return true. That you have understood, right? Now you see. Now this first argument I need to get. See, this is the first value I'm getting to this greater. I'm passing first argument by using this entire dynamic content. What it will do? We will try to understand this. Okay, now in this you see int is the function which will convert your returned value into integer, whatever format it is. It may be string or it may be float or whatever, it will convert into integer. Now, so what is length will give? Length will give the number of files you have, the count of files it will give. So who is going to give you the file list? Get metadata activity output dot child items will give the file names, file list. It will count the file list, and the length function will give you, if we have a 2 files, it will give you 2. It will return in a string format. It will return in a string format. We need to convert the string into integer. I converted into integer. Okay, for that I have used int. By using all these things, I kept the code here. Okay, something like this. You see, this is the activity which will return file list. All that file list I'm counting. Once I count it, that number will be in a string. I'm converting into integer. That number will, that integer number, I will keep it here, something like this. Now what it will return? True. When I received 0 files, I get a false. So based on this condition, it will go into true and false blocks. Clear, Murli?
Yes,
Everybody?
yes, sir.
Okay. If no questions, then that's all for today, friends. Okay, let me stop the recording. We will discuss your questions.